All right, so one of the things I've made mention of before is that during this period of time when a lot of us are physically distancing and we're forced to work from home and to just be out of our normal cadence, one of the things that we're all experiencing is a loss of that structure, a loss of the cadence of life, the things that we do day to day, the things that create a sense of rhythm and normalcy for us. And so those things being removed, it creates a little bit more tension and uncertainty and a little bit of a loss of grounding, if you will. And so one of the things I wanted to do in this video is to talk about what are some things that you can do to create a sense of temporary stability or anchoring for yourself while we're kind of in this space and in this kind of position. So the first thing I want to mention is that it's really important to practice good self-care. And I know these things might seem obvious from the standpoint of just how we take care of ourselves physically. And it's something that probably a lot of us already are doing, but it's really important to be able to know and just be reminded of the basics. When it comes to self-care, a lot of us typically think physical self-care, and that's definitely true. You want to make sure you have time where you're getting outside and going for a run or doing something active to keep yourself physically energized and just out of some of that mental space. And so doing things like that, also doing things that you would normally do for good physical hygiene, like making sure you're getting dressed for work and that you're taking a shower and you're doing all the things that you would normally do to take care of yourself physically, hygienically, and those kinds of things. Those are all parts of cadences that you want to make sure you continue to do. And if you're just at home, don't forget those things, because that's how you can kind of lose a sense of grounding easily as well. So those are just some of the basics. Some of these things you might already be doing. What I want to do in this video is I want to go through and make sure that you also can include as well an exercise, another hygienic process of self-care, but it looks a little bit more from the angle of emotional self-care. And this is part of our self-care that a lot of us tend to overlook and neglect. And so I want to introduce a structure here for you that helps us go through and be disciplined, so to speak, with taking care of ourselves emotionally. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this structure, this acronym here called SPADE, that gives you a framework. If you kind of think about it like it's a workout routine for your emotions instead of your physical self. And so I'll go through that with you right now. The first step in SPADE is the S, which is silencing the noise. And that means being able to unplug from all the distractions. And so that means Netflix, social media, anything that would be a distractor, additional noise. That even means being around other people, your family, so to speak, just that you can create about a good 15 to 30 minutes of just quiet. And you can think of that like going to the gym. If you're not actually physically getting into a gym, you're not going to work out. The same is true here when it comes to this emotional exercise. If you're not creating quiet space for you to be able to engage your emotions, you're just not going to be able to do it. And so you need to be able to take that first step. Without that, nothing else is going to happen. So make sure, first step, silence the noise, create that space and time for yourself to engage. The second step is the actual engagement. This is actually kind of picking up the emotional weights, if you will. Pressing into your feelings. That means engaging, moving into feelings, if you have them, of things like anxiety, anger, frustration, fear, pain, sorrow, whatever it might be, that there are things that are going on for you that you might be experiencing. And again, I might have made references in the last video, but some of the cadences that we traditionally had in life before being able to work, going and doing different things, probably helped us to manage and stave off a lot of the feelings that we might have been going through on a day-to-day basis. And that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. But in situations like we're in right now, where we're kind of stuck at home and we're around other people a lot and we're just out of our rhythms, all these kind of things start rising to the surface. We might be feeling extra anxiety because we've been able to, well, before being able to manage it and kind of push it away, they're now coming to the surface. And so we need to be able to create a mechanism in there to really move into them and to engage them so that we can resolve them and deal with them, because they're just kind of all around us right now. So the second part, pressing into your feelings, actually engaging the feelings and the emotions of what you're going through. The third step is anchoring your thoughts. So that means that as you start pushing into your feelings, you're also going to be engaging the associated thoughts that go along with that. So I feel angry because I think this, or I feel anxiety because I think that. So your emotions and your thoughts are two parts of what's going on within you that you want to be able to identify. And the anchoring step just simply means that as you begin to think through the things that you're thinking, you begin to anchor whether or not they actually have grounding in truth or falsehood and so forth. And so that's a process that you can kind of go through. And we'll dig into that a little bit more in another lesson about how to do that well. But that's this step, anchoring your thoughts, being able to know and challenge exactly what you're thinking through and why. The fourth step here is discovering new things about yourself. And so as you're learning and really pressing into, okay, I'm feeling anxious because of this, or maybe I'm not feeling anxious. Maybe really what I'm feeling is sadness, or maybe what I'm really feeling is loss of some sort, or maybe I'm feeling a certain level of guilt. These are all things that you begin to discover what you feel and why you feel it. And that's a good thing. I mean, that is part of the hard emotional workout routine in this situation that we're using here. But as you're doing that, that's actually good things that you want to be able to uncover, because that means you're getting closer to getting connected and resolving those things. So discovering is the fourth step. The last step is expressing yourself. That could mean simply putting words verbally outside of your thoughts. And so all this entire exercise, these first four steps, really could just be done in your head. But this last step is meant to be done and articulated out loud. And so that might mean being able to write it down in a journal, putting actual words to it. When you're forced to articulate what you think, why you think it, what you feel, all these kinds of things, it helps with the hygienic process to actually bring resolution to some of these things. And even more so, even better, if you can express yourself in connection with someone else, that might mean a spouse or a friend, a loved one, that as you're learning these things, you're connecting with other people and you're talking about it. The connection and the articulation itself is an essential part of the hygienic work of being able to resolve whatever emotions that you might be going through in that given day. So that's the full 5-step process. Again, this is a very simple structure. You can do this any day of the week. 15, 30 minutes a day would be ideal. But hey, if you can only do a few days a week, or if you can only get through 2 or 3 of these steps in a given sitting, that's fine. As long as you're building a cadence and a routine to just try. You'll get better and you'll get more efficient and just more comfortable with it. But you definitely want to be able to have a routine in there, just as if I were a physical trainer, a personal trainer, to tell you, hey, it's just get in the gym. And if you can only do a few workouts, a few reps, that's fine. At least you're building a routine, you're building the muscles. That's the idea behind this type of this tool that you can use. So hope that helps. Begin to start using it in your day-to-day practice, and that would probably help to start alleviate a lot of the pressure that you might be feeling at home as well. Thanks for listening.